Okay, so both topics I was not going to fit into one video, so I'm going to continue on. Since live streams are locked by YouTube when they are first posted, this should be the one that posts instead of that one. And I thought people might be more interested in this one. Hashtags are used on both. I will share both on the community tab. So if you're seeing this one and you're interested in the Truman that I was talking about in the last video about the Jewish legend that I related to the Truman of this realm, then that will be available probably tomorrow or later today. So if you need the link, just let me know. There we go. Comments are on. So coffee, this gets weird, guys. I was curious why the LDS church bans coffee. It does not allow its members to drink coffee. I mean, of course, you can lie about it. You can sneak. I know people that do drink it still and are members of that church. So a lot of churches have, not been as stringent the last few years. And I wouldn't say that it's done anything good for society as a whole. And I'm just being honest in that observation. You can disagree with me. And if you do, let's have an honest, open discussion about it with some mutual respect. But I was wondering, and I have been wondering, why do they ban it? They say it's because it's a stimulant. It's like a drug, and you can get addicted to it. But they do allow tea. So that got me really wondering, like, what is up with coffee and the coffee bean? There seems to be something going on about it. And I don't know if you heard about this, but a couple of years ago, there's this, it's called a delicacy, much like escargot. Snails are called a delicacy in France. There is this delicacy of coffee. And I guess the beans they give to these monkeys, and then these monkeys poo them out. And it's a delicacy. People eat these. People make coffee from them. And it really made me wonder about coffee as a whole, like what is going on with it. And then I've related the poo emojis that we see everywhere now. They're pillows. Like, why would you want a pillow of poo? At first, I thought it was ice cream. My child told me, nope, it's poo. And it's everywhere. And if you type the word with semicolons around it, the emoji will appear. Another little trick one of my sons showed me when it first came out. So it is poo. So we have like this fascination with things that we're, that are, we've been told that a lot of things are good for us when they're not. Now, I'm not trying to insult any coffee drinkers. I've drank coffee. I really like cold, like Frappuccino type things. But I'm not a coffee drinker. Like, I don't have to have it. But I do like soda pop. And there's caffeine in both. And obviously, I like chocolate. And chocolate has caffeine in it. And here's what's weird. There's so many different, quote-unquote, coffee beans and chocolate beans. I don't have anything else in my pocket, little girl. I gave you everything that was in there. It's all gone. I'm sorry. All gone. So I got to wondering, like, why do they ban it? Why are there so many different, and again, this video is not to insult anybody out there who is a big coffee drinker, but you know how I feel about things that trend and things that the world pushes, right? Like Jersey Shore, that was like the beginning of the end, when all this started. Like, it just gives America a really bad rap. It makes us look very bad. I've displayed that same type of behavior myself. I know how humiliating and embarrassing it is to myself. I can only imagine how my father would feel, or my dad would feel. So, yeah, I've been there. And so it seems like these things and people, idols, and habits that trend or that are pushed in our secular world, in our mainstream media type world, are not good for us. They're just not good for us. But I wanted to get into like why, because usually when you get to the root of a thing where something began, you have more of a clear picture of what's going on with it. So cocoa bean, right? Simply cocoa, also known as cacao. Now that's weird to me. Why did they change the word? Because they get into that a little bit below, but the original form of this word was C-A-C-A-O, not C-O-C-O-A. They like to play with words. I would be asking, why did they do this? Somebody like maybe Deion Sandals, he's good with the numbers. Maybe he could give us some indication. I know like Roman numerals, C means like 50 or something, I think. But why would they change that word like that? And they reversed the O's and the A's, basically, is what they did. Instead of two A's, there's two O's, and they're reversed. So, yeah, that's weird to me. When things get inverted by the system, when things like that happen, I want to know why. Why'd they change the word? What was wrong with the way it was to begin with? Would that give us a clearer picture of what's actually happening here? It said it's the dried and fully fermented seed of Theobroma cacao, which is from cocoa solids, a mixture of non-fat substances and cocoa butter. The fat can be extracted. Cocoa beans, native to the Ecuadorian Amazon rainforest, are the basis of chocolate and Mesoamerican foods, including Tejati, again, if I butchered that, I apologize, and indigenous Mexican drink. So we're going to look into this a little bit superficially because I want to show you a couple things I found. Hopefully it'll lead us to those again. Usually I don't look ahead like that, but this is research I was doing on my own and decided, okay, now it's getting weird, so I'm going to bring this to the forefront. So where did chocolate begin? Well, I know in Mesoamerica and like Egypt, they would drink literal, not hot chocolate like we have in packets today, like literal ground up chocolate liqueur, almost like syrup, right? And I imagine it was very tasty. But what in the Egyptian culture, especially, everything they did back in the day, basically, there was a spiritual significance for it. So, why is a church telling them they can't have it? And another thing that concerns me is the LDS church seems to know a lot that like regular folks don't know. And they are one of the forerunners of who's running the show here. We've done the money trail on a lot of modern companies like Blackstone portfolios, which is who they use. And we've seen that a lot of these big corporations lead back to the Mormons, and a lot of media like Desert News, Angel Studios, all the Mormons, they're making all the movies now. We want to know why. And another question we need to ask is, are all of these accusations flying around about actors and celebrities even true? Or are they just really nasty, underhanded tactics, political tactics that people use now to decimate their competitors on Wall Street? For example, there was the rumor that Jeff Bezos was a child harmer. Could that be one of his enemies, like Walmart, starting that rumor just to undermine his business? We have to ask these questions with the things going on today. Hey, thanks for being here. If you understand the verbiage I'm using, please give the video a thumbs up. It just lets me know if the point's getting across, or, you know, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, that type of thing. So here's all the different roasted nibs. Pieces of kernels are generally powdered and melted into chocolate liqueur, but also inserted into chocolate bars. The cacao tree, we already read, is native to the Amazon rainforest. Now here's where it gets strange. Years ago in South America, before being introduced to Central America by the Olmecs. Now, Olmecs is where I went next. Now, we're not going to look and now we can look at who imports it and exports it, but today West Africa produces nearly 81% of the world's crop. So that gives you an indication of if there is any political uprising in that area, if there's any type of genocide in that area. A lot of this has to do with money too. It's not just about bloodlines. It's really nefarious business. That's how they get rid of their competitors. And again, I'm not in agreement with it. I'm just relaying it because I know. Because I've dealt with people in business. I went to school for it. I was in the healthcare system. I worked in it. I worked in banking. I've seen how people operate. In 2020, global cocoa bean production reached 5.8 million tons, with Ivory Coast leading at the total, followed by Ghana and Indonesia. Okay, so we're going to go forward. Etymology of the word. Okay, this gets weird too. There we got an Aztec sculpture with the little cocoa bean pod. The word cocoa comes from the Spanish word cacao, which is derived from the Nahuatl word cacatul. The Nahuatl word, in turn, ultimately derives from the reconstructed Proto-Mixozoquean word cacao. Wow, that's a mouthful. The reason for the inversion of the letters is in the borrowing from the Spanish cacao to the English cocoa is unknown. So you see what I'm saying? They inverted the places of the O's and the A's. Why? Anytime I see inversion, anytime I'm like, why did that happen? Who did that? It's like, for me, much like the number 33 in news stories is it's their signature. That's what I'm seeing here. Anytime you see words that are messed with, or especially if they're inverted, that's them saying, hello, we did this, we're doing this, we're in charge of this. Why? And again, anytime something comes from, and I'm just going to say the spirit of the fallen ones, because that's where we're told all this comes from in the book of Enoch. That's the root of this quote unquote problem, if it is a problem. Is it coming from them? Well, God sent them here as our watchers, and they were supposed to, I think, teach us. I do believe we were supposed to work side by side, some of us, and for the purpose of instruction, for us to grow. And that went haywire because human beings can be pretty raunchy. Again, I would just point you to Jersey Shore if you don't want to agree with me. I'm saying we can be, but there's hope, right? So anytime I see this type of thing, and it comes from them, okay, number one, yes, they do know more than us, but why do they want to fill us full of coffee and food? They want us eating 3 times a day, and they want us eating a lot. And, I know there's rumors going around about who's going to control the food. Those are scare tactics, guys. That's reverse psychology. They're telling you they're going to cut off steak because they want you eating it. Whatever they're doing to this food, or is anything being done to this food? Sammy's snoring, I'm sorry. Is anything even being done to this food? And is it not really food? Because I got to tell you, and I really want to do a video on it. Have you seen the short Uber commercial yet? Where, it's probably a year or two old by now, where Stifler's mom from American Pie is eating the stuff from the Uber Eats, and it's not food. And that's the whole, joke of the commercial is, eat the foods, not the Ubers, or something weird like that. And it says, eat the foods, that's not the foods. And, it's not funny to me, but I see a lot of this now. Who is putting this stuff out, and who is the market for this? Why are they're mocking humans, basically. There's a lot of mockery of the female woman. There's a lot of mockery of humanity in general, degradation of the human being. They really want you to feel like total crud. Now, again, I know that I have acted like a piece of crud at times myself, really badly, which is another reason I hide away, is shame. I don't want to put myself in those positions again to embarrass the family name any more than I already have, but also because I don't want to make people uncomfortable with my presence who maybe just don't want to see me anymore, right? A lot of TIs will tell you they don't deserve what happened to them. I just look to Christ. If Christ can go through all that, being as holy as he was, who am I to say what I can or can't, what I'm not supposed to go through? So let's continue. It tells you about hot cocoa, and we're going to click on history, and we know that it came from, now we're going to look at the Olmecs a little bit, because they're strange. More than 4,000 years ago, it was consumed by pre-Hispanic cultures, the Yucatan, including the Maya, and as far back as the Olmeca civilization in spiritual ceremonies, guys. So what do we know about the Mayans and people like that? Well, allegedly, they did a lot of human sacrifice. Did they drink coffee before they did this? Was it a we have sit-downs now and share coffee? What does this mean? So let's continue. It also grows in the foothills of the Andes. I love Andes candies, all the little mints. My step-grandpa my adopted grandpa used to carry them in his pocket all the time for me. And I called him Uncle Andy. And I'd be like, Uncle Andy, you got any Andes candies? Got any of your candies? Anyways, it also grows in the foothills of the Andes. We know that. Wild coca still grows there. Its range may have been larger in the past. Evidence of its wild range may be obscured by cultivation of the trees. Yeah. Now this is, again, we're seeing 2018. So this was another red flag I saw, and I'm like, okay, I need to make this into a video because this is really pointing to something. I don't know what, but I just know I'm seeing the red flags that I usually see, the signatures that I usually see with things that we're supposed to pay attention to. Thank you for being here. So as of November 20, they're probably not pushing this video because I just did one, but I wanted these two topics to be separate. So hopefully people will go and watch them. As of November 2018, evidence suggests that cacao was first domesticated in equatorial South America before being domesticated in Central America. Artifacts found at Santa Ana La Florida. Okay, so we know that they were cultivating it as long as 5,300 years ago. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. And what I'd like to do then, because we saw it here, is I want to do a quick search and see if it will come up. That's a search from the last video. And we are going to do coffee. Oh, Olmec Rituals. Why did they drink coffee in their rituals? Let's see what we can find out. What was the ritual of the Olmec? Historians believe that Olmec shamans used mind-altering substances when performing rituals. The Olmec shamans also performed bloodletting with bloodletting spoons and sacrificed it, meaning the blood, to the gods. During these rituals, the shamans were thought to turn into naguals, or animal spirit companions. That's fascinating to me because we know animal spirit companions in our current culture equals familiar spirits to witches. So that's very interesting. Let us continue. Witches, and this is the thing, people think that the witches just see through their eyes, but if we go back to the Native American legend about what a witch is and how it's actually created, they change form. So it's not actually, they're not just it's not just astral travel. They are actually changing into that animal. Allegedly, according to lore. I think this is all pretty fascinating when you get into all of the shape-shifting stories and skinwalker stories that we're seeing in these times. And also, why are people looking so weird? Why are they not quite looking like themselves? Are these things real? Did they get out of the national parks because there's no one doing these binding rituals any longer? Okay, we looked at that a while back. What are some traditions of the Olmecs? Practice of sacrifice, cave rituals, pilgrimages, offerings, ball courts. I'm not quite sure what that is. I think that goes back. That's like the Roman. Olympics, ball courts, pyramids, and a seeming awe of mirrors. There's another indicator that this is something we should look at because we've looked at mirrors and obsidian, and those are allegedly used for scrying, and they are also used for portals. So if they're drinking pure coffee at this time, what is it doing to them? Is it opening them up to something? Is that why they want everyone drinking coffee? Are your thoughts then no longer covered as well? Are your thoughts no longer your own as well if you drink coffee that is strong and pure? You know, the syrupy Arabica, Colombian, Italian roast, pure strong coffee, right? Hi, Michelle. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Da, 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 da. No, I don't have a coffee to drink. I don't drink coffee. I will drink a Frappuccino. I love Frappuccinos. So if anybody wants to buy me a Frappuccino, my PayPal link is always attached. They're quite expensive, so I get maybe one a month that I buy myself. Maybe. Usually it's a bag of Fritos because they're about $5 a month. Or $5 a pop. So one a month is what I get of those now, which kind of stinks, but whatever. getting back to the point at hand, I'm sorry about that little segue. So we know now that the Olmecs were into these spiritual practices that are occultish in nature, right? They are paganistic. Like I said the other day, our modern day society isn't even as good as pagans according to Dante's Inferno and the hierarchy of hell. Pagans have a higher slot they have a they're in a closer spot outside of the ring. They can get out maybe sooner than other people, if you can, in fact, get out of Hades, because they are at least spiritual. They are at least praying. Heathens don't even pray. They don't even consent to doing that much. So we are in dire straits here today. Are these practices and habits that we have been told are good for us and in fact beneficial, are they breaking down spiritual walls and barriers and protections that God gave us? Hear me now. Everybody blames God for all the problems and the bad things that are happening now. And God is even in control of demons, in a way, a manner of speaking. But there are things that we do by consent. We invite certain things around. Invite. And again, I use every word specifically now. And yes, we're going to do a face-to-face video on a lesson in consent. I now have a little mini ring mirror for my phone, which I've never had before. I'm so behind, guys, but I'm thrifty. I don't just spend money. Like, I spend money on other people. I don't really spend it on myself, and if I do, then I start giving it stuff away because I feel bad. It's just weird. I'm weird like that. So yeah, if you want to send me money for a Frappuccino, I might drink one of those. But are all these things that we're doing, are they breaking down natural barriers and protective barriers that we are born with, that we are gifted with by our Creator because we are loved, but we are being taught things that are erroneous, that are bad for us, that we should not be doing, or at least we shouldn't be doing in ignorance. If you're going to uncover your thoughts, and we've talked about this in regards to women covering their heads as well, is there some type of protection in that? Because not only is it a signal that you're taken, so these fallen ones stay away from you, but they also are not attracted to your hair and distracted by it shining when you're praying and whatnot, because they come around to watch us pray. But is it also something practical? Are our thoughts literally escaping us? And we've talked about where these sayings come from. Keep it under your hat means keep it a secret. But why would you say keep it under your hat? Does it actually offer a physical protective barrier of our thoughts? And when we drink things like coffee, not understanding that it's basically the equivalent of magic mushrooms for some people in its pure form, these are things to consider. Now let's see, popularly consumed as a beverage, the Olmec fermented the cacao with pulp intact in the early days. Cacao beverages were produced solely from the pulp of the fruit. So they didn't use the bean, they used the pulp. The discovery of the more familiar chocolate drink might have been a happy accident as a byproduct of the pulp brewing process. What did they sacrifice? The rituals of human sacrifice and bloodletting were probably performed to appease the Olmec gods, who were a combination of human and animal forms, both male and female. Both male and female. Combination. So, hold up. Let's read this right. Who were a combination of human and animal forms. Let's stop there. Human and animal forms. What does that mean? Well, some could show up as humans, some could show up as animals. But doesn't it also mean like a minotaur? Or wouldn't you also see combinations in every arena then? I'm just asking questions, but couldn't you then see a human combined with an animal? Or two animals combined? So then you have both male and female. Are some androgynous, as we are told some angels are? Or do they just show up as men and women, and that has been a perversion of man? We have to ask these things because the body, the temple, obviously does matter quite a bit. And let me be clear about these sacrifices back then too. A lot of them were willing. A lot of the people that were sacrificed considered it a place of honor. I'm not saying it's right or good or bad or anything. I'm just saying this is how it was. A lot of those people were willing not all of them, but a lot of them were. A lot of people would put themselves on the chopping block purposely. There's no greater gift a man can give than one who gives his life for a friend. Can be looked at in many different ways. And in this way, they thought, wow, I am appeasing this God who could, for all intents and purposes, eat my family if I don't do it. So that's the greatest gift you can give, is your life for these other loved ones, right? So, but they drank coffee as they did these things or before they did these things to better commune with God. But who was their God, guys? Their gods were a lot purportedly demonic if we look at them properly. So what spirit did the Olmec worship? Let's get right into it. In order of importance, Olmec gods were the Olmec dragon, maize deity, which is corn. I don't know. So the dragon, that's interesting. The rain spirit, which was a were-jaguar, and a Bandai god. I don't know what that means. Feathered serpent, which is also another name for America, guys, and I never knew that America means literally feathered serpent. I had no idea about that. One of the friends of the channel led me on a path way back when I first started doing videos on the original channel, and he introduced me to that whole concept, but I did not know that's what America meant. And fish or shark monster, again, I still sustain that the abyss is in the water, okay? That's where we see UFOs come up out of, and obviously they are stuck here as well. And again, are they actual physical? But if they can move around in spirit, then why don't they? Because certain things have to be done physically in this world if you want to get them done. And then if you want to get to the other realm, your molecules have to be rearranged. Think of teleporting. All these things, they're not always physical. We create our problems. People shouldn't blame God. I agree, Michelle. Yep, feathered serpent. Oh, I'm glad somebody else knew that. Like, I don't know. That's cool. Yeah, a friend of the channel told me that, and I think you might have been one of them, but it was somebody told me before you. What are 3 things the Olmecs are known for? The Olmec created massive monuments, including, here we go, just like Easter Island. All these cultures, guys, did the same things, including colossal stone heads. Why just the heads? Why the heads? I don't get it. I don't. Thrones, stela, which is upright slabs, and statues. Okay, and I have a theory about the upright slabs, guys. We call them monoliths today. I saw something, and I don't know if this is where I saw it, but monoliths coming down like that are a sign of spiritual growth and evolution. We might have saw it in a live stream we did the other day. Why did they disappear? It is unclear why. Archaeologists speculate that the depopulation was caused by environmental changes, specifically by the silting up of rivers, which choked off the water supply. Well, if one disappears, we are a migratory species. I believe we should be migrating and following the sun, all of us, all the time. And I believe that would give the land a break, too, where we're farming. But what do I know? I'm just some dumb woman who doesn't know anything, really, so... Just a thought. Archaeologists speculate that the depopulation was caused by environmental changes. Could they have been eaten? Could another cannibalistic tribe have come along and eaten them? I mean, I'm just asking questions. If they disappear, there's no bones, no body. Could they be ate? During, let's see, sharply between BCE 400 and 350 before Christ. Unclear why. When was the flood? How long was the flood before Christ? It was probably it was a bigger gap than that, wasn't it? I'd be interested to find that out. Okay, so what foods did they eat? Like their descendants, the Olmecs thrive mainly through agriculture: squash, beans, cassava, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and maize, corn. That's a nice little diet. Did the Mayans drink coffee? Okay, how do you pronounce that? Chocolate? 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 Was derived from cocoa, and again, we already went over the word change, which grew natively across much of Mesoamerica and was adopted by Maya civilizations before the Aztec Empire emerged. See, did the Mayans just turn into the Aztecs, or did they fight it out? The Mayans consumed chocolate first thing in the morning, similar to how we take our coffee today. Oh my gosh, are we the Mayans? We basically are, like, we are a paganistic society. I mean, I'm just being honest. What did the Olmecs call chocolate? 1996, Sophie Coe and Michael Coe argued in their book True History of Chocolate that cacao, specifically a chocolate beverage, originated with the Olmec. Michelle, God might be telling me to cut down on my coffee. My plug broke and I busted the pot. Ah, you know what? And don't do the mushroom coffee. A lot of people are doing that. Again, if something trends in this world, I am concerned about it. Um, Tea is a good alternative. I like my orange juice. Something cold, a cold beverage wakes you up. I don't do well with hot beverages. They make me tired. If you give me coffee, I can literally fall asleep. It's not because of the caffeine, it's because it's hot, you see. I'd be interested to find that out too. Did they drink their coffee hot or cold? I'm really curious about that. It was probably the Olmec who first made chocolate from cacao. And that's from 1996 research, so I kind of trust that. What did they speak? A Mixozoquean language. The earliest complex civilization located mainly in the same area. Okay. I drink green tea or hibiscus. I like hibiscus tea. You know what else I like is the water infusers, like the flavored water infusers. I don't mean carts, I mean like a little bag of like the fruit shavings or whatever it is, and it's like a tea bag, but you put it in your water. Those are yummy. And like I said, if I just drink even cold water in the morning, if I don't have orange juice, a cold water is nice. That helps wake me up. But any hot drink just puts me to sleep. I don't know how people drink hot coffee all day. Like, I just could go to bed. Let's see what their ritualistic bloodletting was. It was a solemn sacrificial gesture to divine ancestors in order to maintain a mindful and respectful relationship and elicit their goodwill in return. Oh, but see, I don't like that when you get other people's blood. That makes me curious, like, what are they doing with it and why? Yeah, chocolate, oil, metals, and chemicals are some of the most toxic things we make. Yeah, I agree. Oil metals. What is an oil metal? I think I know what do you mean, like colloidal oil, silver and stuff that people take? What is the Olmec dragon myth? Depicted a crocodile-like being occasionally having human, eagle, or jaguar feathers. His mouth sometimes open, and ancient carved images is seen in a cave. Perhaps for this reason, the Olmec were fond of cave painting. What is the Olmec dragon? Okay. All right. So next, let's look at caffeine real quick, because I want to look at what's up with it. There's 95 milligrams in coffee today. Now, how much in Coke? 34 for Coke, and there's 3 to 4 times that in a coffee. Mountain Dew is the leader always at 55 for pop. Okay. But I'm more curious as to, I turned Do Not Disturb off. Why is all this stuff on? Sorry, guys. Hold, please. It's never ending, the constant, like, messing with the electronics. I can't stand that. Alright, so give the video a thumbs up if you understand the verbiage that I use. It doesn't necessarily push the video itself. It just helps me. I don't want to know about that so much as... Now, again, I think a lot of the truth that the Mormon Church has comes from fallen ones. I think that's where they got it. If you look at the studies like that John Dee did, the astrologer to the queen who allegedly created the Enochian language, the Enochian alphabet, which Aleister Crowley stole and revamped a little bit. They're both pretty much the same. And again, they all look like, you could also say they look like, what is it? Runes as well. So they're all very similar. In the word of wisdom, the Lord commands Mormons to abstain from harmful substances. Mormons are taught not to drink any kind of alcohol. They're also taught not to drink hot drinks, meaning coffee or any tea other than herbal tea. Why not hot drinks, though? And we did a search on the CDC. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. This is not medical advice. All the disclaimers are in the description. Sorry about that, guys. We looked at this a little bit before about why we warm things up so much now. And I was wondering, why were they telling everyone they're going to ban certain types of energy? And I honestly think it's reverse psychology. They want you cooking your food. If you go to the CDC website, I have a video on this. There's proof of it. Go look yourself. Red meat is listed as a carcinogen, and a carcinogen equals the definition of a carcinogen is a cancer-causing agent. Red meat causes cancer. It is a transgression against your body to put dead flesh into it. And I know I'll lose people watching the video and they'll take it personal. I'm just being honest about what we found at the CDC website itself. It also says that cooking your food at a high temperature, especially at a high temperature very fast, like barbecuing, creates a smoke. The smoke that people love to smell like something's barbecuing, that's also a carcinogen. It is not necessarily tobacco that's a carcinogen, guys. It is the smoke that it creates. If you follow me, you could still give the video a thumbs up, but please don't hate on me. I'm just bringing you information. I'm not telling you if it's good or bad, but you know what I've decided on my walk, and it is not easy. It is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is giving up eating animals, but I know that in my family, it is especially negative for us, so I'm trying the best that I can to abstain. I really, really wanted bacon yesterday, and I did not have any. It was very hard, but I did it, and yeah, so it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So Mormons are taught not to drink hot drinks, guys. They know, like they are told truths, okay? Is it because they are one of the true churches? I had a theory that maybe the Catholic Church was the beginning church and the Mormon Church would be like the final church, like they, because they have the book. I have a question for Mormons too, and I'm going to do a super short video on this. Can somebody remind me in the comment section? I want to ask the LDS guys, that the people that I know from that church, I want to do a shout out video and ask them why, when Christ and the Father both appeared to Joseph Smith in the woods, why is that not considered the second coming? Because it was in like the 1800s. It was Christ and the Father, which is said will happen in the end times. I want to know why they didn't consider that to be the second coming. When the tabernacle was built, the people grilled out or cooked out. God told them to burn some of the feast, and God loves fried chicken. That's not God. That's not God. And they also back then, they didn't process meat the way we do today. They did not use there's a lot of like, for example, I know this because I read a lot and because I worked in restaurants. Niacin is in a lot of things. It is in the meat to preserve it. We didn't have any of that stuff back then. Did you see, I think it was Dr. Pepper commercial or something. It was creepy AF. They were controlling and hypnotizing people in plain sight. I think I did catch that, but I do not have cable. I have not had cable since, oh gosh, the early 2000s. I am subbed to like mainstream news channels on YouTube here, just so I'm not totally, unrelatable to you guys or whatever. But I've not had cable for a very long time, and that was a decision my spouse and I made together. Like I said, this new behavior of him, this is all different. Like, I don't know this person. He's the one that taught me a lot of the things that I use today to get me where I'm at. And shame on me for not being a better wife. I was never taught how to be a good wife. And I think that we should go back to the old ways. I think women should be with women in the same household, raising children up. Not same household, but like same community household. It's in the scriptures, and it says it will be the same in the days of Noah. They had the tablets, phone, and TV. People will reset to the Stone Age through education. Okay, I'm going to agree with you there to a certain point, but I don't think that's God. I have a very different opinion of Old Testament than most people do. And I personally, again, I've asked God to lead me on this journey. I've asked him for forgiveness if I am incorrect, but I don't think that that's God. But at the same time, there are different covenants for different times. No matter what they had then, we are in a different time now. And for me personally, I feel God was telling me, especially when CV began, to stay away from the meat very specifically. Just like the Israelites were told not to, oh God, what was it? They were told not to eat anything. It will be the same as in the days of Noah. They will eat, drink, and marry. In the end days, we're not supposed to be marrying. Marrying means coupling. It means fornicating. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be procreating right now, because I don't think everyone here is the same. He doesn't sound like the same man. He's not the same. He's not the same. And even then, he was abusive and controlling to me, but it wasn't like that. I get you on that, but people had their own livestock. I'm not saying like livestock is bad. I'm not saying, I think we're here to be caretakers of the land and animals. Why would God tell Adam, here, name all these animals, and then tell Adam, here, we're going to kill them now? Even if God knew the future and knew what Adam was going to decide, he might have had to take 2 animals and clothe them with it and to say, now here is an example of how your sin causes death. Even if it's not your own death, it caused the death of these animals. Okay? I don't interpret that scripture the same way anymore that other people do, and I just don't. I don't think we are supposed to be eating that, especially right now. I think it would be a lot easier for someone to do harm with some type of biological agent through the food supply. I specifically have warned people about this. I've told you for 2 years, God told me to avoid certain things, and I'm passing that along to you. I don't tell you guys everything. I think certain things that happen to me, I had something happen to me at work, and I'm still debating over whether or not I should tell you guys, because it was revealed to me in private. And I think certain things are supposed to stay private, not because they're demonic, right? Certain things are demonic and you need to expose them. That's why I do. But certain things maybe are just for my own growth, and maybe I'm not supposed to tell other people because they're not ready for that yet. Anyways, I don't tell you guys what to eat or anything. I'm just telling you for my sake, myself, that's what I've decided. I still love you no matter what you decide, right? I'm still going to love you. And we can debate what that scripture means. One day animals won't eat each other like the Garden of Eden. Exactly, right. Fish is an animal. I'm doing the best that I can on my walk with what God told me. Okay? And so I pass it along to other people because, yes, I do think it greatly matters what you do with your temple. We don't know what they're doing with the food. If you read the scriptures, why do you think Jewish people, it has to be kosher? It has to be done in a certain way because there cannot be any blood left in the animal. And we're not doing that. We are specifically told not to eat dead flesh and and yet we do it. Okay? It is my opinion, there's 2 different voices in the Old Testament, And one of them is not the big G God, creator, maker God. And that's just my opinion. And you can disagree, but I don't think it's fair to like hate me for it or anything like that. So hot drinks are very interesting to me too. Why is it hot drinks? Now, again, we know what they say on the surface, but I would really like to go back to the beginning and find out, when did this start? When did it start? According to God's guidance. Okay, so according to God's guidance and the word of wisdom, Mormons are advised to avoid coffee. Mormons are properly referred to as members of the Church of Jesus of Latter-day Saints, believe they are divinely counseled not to drink coffee. In 1833, see the number? Church prophet Joseph Smith received a revelation. Oh, jeez. There's the 33. And again, 33 started with God. They're all God's numbers, and it's when Christ was crucified, and you have 36 vertebrae, so no more thirst or hunger. The world, I mean, any farmer that, and I'm just going to end it here. I'm not arguing. I agree with you. The world, make one wise and appear to be good for food. Right, I agree. But if you look at farmers, right, if you ever saw Charlotte's Web as a kid, they're not allowed, the children aren't allowed to name the animals, and it's so that they don't get attached to them because they're going to eat them. It's going to be food. So then, if we copy God and we are copiers of our maker, at least we try to be, or in some ways we don't even try, we just are. God is the opposite way, right? Isn't it the opposite with God? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he told Adam to name all the animals. So why would God tell us to take care of the earth, that the animals are under our dominion, that the woman is the helpmate? So the woman and the man are the caretakers of the earth and the animals on it, and Adam named them. Do you really think that same God is going to have them kill it? One's image is one's name. When I see you, I see your name. Okay, I don't agree. Hey, how are ya? Doing good. Nice to see you. You okay? I am good. In 1833, church prophet Joseph Smith received a revelation from God regarding health known as the word of wisdom. This revelation advises which foods and drink are good for the body and which substances should be avoided. This engine person, I don't know, you really, like, I'm not arguing with people anymore. I don't do that anymore, but I don't know if it's, I don't know. This revelation advises which foods and drink are good for the body and which substances should be avoided. It lists hot drinks as one of the harmful substances, saying they are not for the body or belly. Hot drinks. See, I don't think they're good for you either. I've never liked hot drinks. They make me instantly tired. And I don't think they're good for your stomach. Interesting. Excluding herbal teas. In recent years, the church has clarified coffee drinks that go by different names, as the word coffee isn't always included. The update states, drinks with names that include cafe, mocha, latte, espresso, or anything ending in "-sino" are coffee and are against the word of wisdom. That's funny. By naming the animals, I thought he meant zebra, cow, horse, etc., not a personal name. Oh no, Michelle, I agree. I agree with you. But Adam already named the animals, so of course our tendency is to rename them into our family with quote unquote, specific names. Like, yes, this is a dog, right? Adam named him a dog, but I call him Samson. Do you see what I mean? Either way, you're still naming it, right? It still is special to you. You still gave it a name then. Why would you name something you're going to kill? It doesn't make any sense. A good make, especially if he knew the future and knew what was going to happen, a loving God, a loving creator, I don't think would do that. And I also, and people are going to call this blasphemy, I know they are, but I also think that it's important to say that, like, If Adam and Eve were the first parents, like that was the first time God was a parent. Do you think it's possible that maybe God was learning too? They say God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, but do you think he was learning how to be a parent? Like, I don't think he made us just for his own enjoyment. I think he also made us for his own growth as well. I understand what you're saying, Injun. It's just not relevant right now. As with all of God's commandments, LDS churches, they have choice, right? They're very big proponents on free will, on agency, and I like that. But I think, again, there's a lot of people out there today who are manipulating that. Okay, so I just want to know what caffeine is then. What is caffeine? Ooh. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, because caffeine is also in chocolate. Caffeine pill. I'm not wondering about a pill. No, I just mean it's not relevant to the topic, dear. When somebody's constantly like it's almost argumentative to like, I don't know if you're trying to argue a point or what you know what I mean? I don't know what you're trying to say there as far as the content of the video goes. What is caffeine? Should we look that up? I just want to like define caffeine. Because when you look up the chemical proponent makeup of it, caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant of the methylxanthine class. It is mainly used as a heroic or as a mild cognitive enhancer. The formula is CHNO. Chino. 81042. Okay, now let's look into a little more. What is caffeine made of? It is made of 8 carbon, 10 hydrogen, 4 nitrogen, and 2 oxygen. So on its own, like, why is that quote unquote bad for the body? Why is that a transgression? It's because it's a stimulant, they say, but couldn't any plant or food that we eat be looked at as a stimulant? Because I know there's like my favorite foods literally make me happy. So they raise my frequency or my vibration. If you eat animals, I'm just being honest, you are taking in the spirit that animal had at its time of death, which is probably fear and violence and, you know, whatever else it was doing at that time. Because today, the way in which these things are produced, you know, people just want to turn away from bad things, but we're a part of this. We are a part of this system. And so no one here is innocent. It doesn't matter if you were there or not. It doesn't matter if you turn your head away or not. It's happening. We are all a part of the problem. And so I think it's time we started being parts of the solution. We've diagnosed a lot of problems now that we all have. And so I think we should move on to the healing process where we heal ourselves and each other, and we begin to do good things for our bodies and for our spirits, or as good as we know how. Again, it's really hard to determine sometimes because we are told bad things are good for us. It increases activity in your brain and nervous system. It also increases the circulation of chemicals such as cortisol and adrenaline. In small doses, caffeine can make you feel refreshed and focused. Okay. Now again, if the world pushes something, caffeine use may be safe for adults. It's not a good idea for children. High levels of caffeine can cause serious health problems, possibly death. Is caffeine made naturally? How is it processed? We should be asking this question about all of our food. What is being put into it? Why are these preservatives put into it? And for how does that affect the food? And does it cook out of the food? Caffeine is naturally found in the fruit leaves and beans of coffee, cacao, and guarana plants. It is also added to beverages and supplements. Okay, let's look at a few other things. I want like history. Let's look at that. History of coffee or caffeine? Let's see. Coffee. I wish I had a laptop, guys. I'm sorry. This is not more polished. I guess the younger kids made me feel really bad over on Reddit about it, so I feel bad now. As soon as I can get one, I'm going to try and get one, but I don't know if that's a good idea or not because we've talked about all these screens. So I'm really just trying to figure out what to do with my life come the first. I'm going to make, God willing, if I'm still here, I'm going to make some changes. I think, I've been gearing up for it. I've been researching, so we'll see how things turn out. The history of coffee. Do I want to look at the national coffee? I don't know if I want to because they're going to say all good things. I want to look at a unbiased opinion. Ethiopian legend. There, legend says that the goat herder Kaldi first discovered the potential of these beloved beans. The story goes that the Kaldi discovered coffee after he noticed that after eating the berries from a certain tree, his goats became so energetic that they did not want to sleep at night. That's weird. Organic. I didn't see. Organic. Organic caffeine, or you mean organic coffee? Okay, so when did humans first start drinking? 15th century. Okay, now it's really big in the Sufi religion and with Muslims and Islam. So let's read that real quick. And there's a lot of people that say, okay, Satan wrote the Quran. I'm not going to say that. I've only read a little bit of it. I will say some of it's in line with scripture, especially the end times. They're very appropriate with certain issues in there regarding male and female. However, some that you see today, again, I would not call legitimate Muslims. I would not say, I don't care if your hair is covered. It is not modest. The way the women, they're gorgeous women, but they're not modest, even if they are covered. With the way they look today, I was looking at some head coverings to wear to church. And, they just, again, they look like worldly people. We got a lot of work to do. I don't know why everybody's ruining their bodies with all this plastic surgery. It is even in my small town. I don't know what's happening to people. I really don't. And again, I don't know if it's something that was happening and I was just blind to it, or it really feels like 2019 things literally flipped. Like 2017 and 18 were leading up to it, and then organic coffee you want me to look up. Okay, one second. The earliest credible evidence of coffee drinking as the modern beverage appears in modern-day Yemen in southern Arabia in the middle of the 15th century. Okay, now that's two different things we heard. Because first it was, didn't they say the 4th and 5th century? The Olmecs were drinking it? The earliest, all right, well, they're saying credible evidence of coffee drinking as the modern beverage, the way it is now, I guess. In Sufi shrines where coffee seeds were first roasted and brewed in a manner similar to how it is now prepared for drinking. In shrines, guys. Sufism, that's a religion. Tea is older than coffee by almost 2 millennia. Holy cow. Birthplace of coffee, Ethiopia. All right, I want to see. There's no references to it in the Bible at all. Foods that had yet to be introduced to the Middle East, such as tea, coffee, or sugars derived from sugar, beets, or cane, anything indigenous to the New World, would have been impossible for Jesus to eat, such as maize, corn, pumpkins, peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, or chocolate. It makes me wonder if we're supposed to be eating that stuff even now today. There's a rumor that there's human DNA in corn that we share one of their... I'm going to look that up. Hold, please. Organic coffee for Michelle and then corn real quick. So what's the difference? No mold, no mycotoxins. I don't trust things that are like dark in color anymore because it's too easy to like put other things in them. It makes me concerned. It maintains complete nutrients and flavor, ensuring that you get a cup of healthy and delicious coffee. Organic farmer ensures that chemicals don't leach into the food they're growing, in this case, the coffee, allegedly. Okay. I have to look this up because it's been on my... Hello? Where'd my search engine go? What is happening? Hello? Yeah, okay. That was weird. I don't know where I saw this, but I have to look it up because it's weird. Is there actual images for it? Oh, shut up. No way. Repetitive DNA genes. So do we share something in common with it? Shut up. No, we don't. Do we really? Oh, I guess it's similar. The genetic code of corn consists of 2 billion bases of DNA. The chemical units that are represented by the letters T, C, G, and A, making it similar in size to the human genome, which is 2.9 billion letters long. But that's where much of the similarity ends. Where is DNA in corn? 2 sets of chromosomes, each of which contains over 2 billion base pairs or letters of DNA, and over 30,000 genes. I didn't know corn was that complex. See, is this... And this makes me wonder, okay, because it says, in the days of Noah, they ate, drank, and married. Are we not supposed to be eating or drinking anything? Is that why I always feel kind of full? I just eat now to be polite usually. Or my one medicine and I'm still on makes me hungry sometimes. But when the Israelites left Israel and they didn't have food. They couldn't find any food. They were lost in the desert. It wasn't a good pilgrimage. Like, it wasn't a good escape. They escaped and they went right back to they had Stockholm syndrome, basically. They liked everything that their captors gave them that they weren't supposed to like. And it makes me wonder, like, is the food now, is it even food? Follow me. God said food has seeds, right? Every fruit-bearing seed. Every seed-bearing fruit, sorry. So, what are potatoes? They don't have like, how do you grow those? Where's the seed? Where's the seed for the potato? Is it in this, like, I don't know. I've never grown potatoes, so excuse the ignorance. And I know there was, like, the thing with the Irish people in the history of the potato, but where did potatoes come from? You don't hear nothing about potatoes in, like, even the Native Americans. I don't think they ate potatoes, did they? And what else did it say? What else was on that list that we saw earlier? Tomatoes, green peppers. Like, I've never seen green peppers just chilling and growing anywhere wild. Like, I've never seen that. Like, you see daisies, you see roses, you see, what kind of food do you see just randomly? You see peaches, pears, apples, oranges. Where's these peppers? Where's these vegetable things? Because God talks about fruit and, like, grass or whatever for the animals, but in grain. But where did the rest of this stuff come from? Is it just extra? Is it decoration? Is it just for color, like when you cook food? Like, seriously, I think they're mocking us. I think they're making fun of us. They call us useless eaters. And that Uber Eats commercial, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it with Stifler's mom. They tell you, don't eat the Ubers, eat the Eats. Because they're not eating actual food. They're eating, like, the plastic and stuff, whatever else they ordered. Because it's not all food, right? They have soap and stuff in the bag. And it's like everything is mocking us. These beings are back. They are here. They're making their presence known. They're just not announcing it. There's disclosure happening every day, all the time. If you watch the media, there's the other commercial with the Airbnb. And the Bigfoot family rents the Airbnb. They're very nice. They put everything back. They follow the rules. And they're human while they're in the house. And then when they leave, they turn back into to Sasquatch. In that one, I think they're making fun of us because we trashed their home. We trashed the woods. Not we, because I don't do that, but people do. They desecrate their trees. They cut them down. They use them for rituals, whatever they do. Leave trash laying, just overall disrespectful, noisy. Like we can be dumb and we can be unruly in big groups. I think some of what's happened is for our betterment, the refining process. So I'm trying not to complain about it anymore myself either. But you have to ask yourself, if there's all this mockery of humans and all this mockery of and then the Bible says that, like in the end days, it'll be like in the days of Noah, men shall eat, drink, and marry. Obviously, we're not supposed to be doing that for some reason. The marrying, I think, is because we're not all human. I think there are things here now that they're trying to push another baby boom, trying to push babies. The only babies that they want are babies that are hybrids, I guess, because on the other hand, they hate children. They don't want the human species to continue. So again, you have different demonic elements that you're dealing with, or anti-human elements, or not human elements that you're dealing with. I don't even know how to say it anymore. But you can see it disclosure is happening every day, all the time, if you just pay attention, as much as the human is being mocked. And in a way, I can see the point, we have been disrespectful to our nature. We have been disrespectful to each other. The part growing out of the skin, so much processed foods aren't food. It's disgusting. I agree. It is gross. But that's where it comes in. You and me, we have to be our own advocates. We have to be our own researchers. We have to be vigilant, like we're told in scripture, and we have to be responsible. We have to be reading our scripture and understanding, okay, this is happening now. I need to be paying attention, because it doesn't tell us what kind of food. It just says men will be eating, drinking, and marrying. And obviously, we shouldn't be doing those things, at least in that time. And that's what I was trying to say about the animals. God may have said for a time, hey, if they're going to eat animals, we're going to have these, it has to be like this. There are going to be these rules for it, right? Just like he said, if there's going to be slavery, you got to have these rules. He knew we were going to do these things, so he put kings and certain rulers in place to give guidelines for them. God can't tell us not to do them, though, because at the same time, he gave us this earth and dominion over it. If we allowed demonic or any type of anti-human force or spirit to take over the earth realm that God gave to us, we are then doing the same thing, number one, that the fallen angels did. And they're in really dire straits. They don't ever get to go back to the presence of God. Ever. And some of them, yes, do want to. And they don't ever get to do that. So I think we need to be very, very careful moving forward. And, here's the thing. Is scripture in the book of Enoch, are they true? The point is that they appear to be. And it would appear that we're not all the same. But we don't know who is who. So thou shalt not kill. You got to follow this. No matter what's happening, we still have to act the same, right? We're in our walk, true Christ followers, true believers of that way, of the way of Christ, will follow him and will emulate him and copy him so that others see and be a good representative. Please don't talk to me about Christ. Just you right now, please don't talk to me about him, because I'm not understanding where you're going with any of your conversation, and I do know Christ. So when people start talking about him out of turn, it gets me pretty upset. No, I'm not going to harm anybody. I would never do that. I'm a pacifist. But words, yeah. I might spit some words at you. Anyways, though, I think we have to be very careful, because we're not all the same, but we have to go about it in the same way. We still have to be good to each other. We still have to be kind to each other. We still have to be charitable to one another. And yes, we have to act it out, right? It has to be not just in our thoughts or our minds, but it has to be in our speech. It has to be evident in our behaviors. And too many people are just still playing games. And we've been given how many chances now? We were given the lockdowns to pretty much tell us, hey, somebody's watching. This is different. This is new. We get the rulers we deserve. Wake up. I mean, the fact that certain things are happening in our world and we are a part of it, we should be interested in it. And we should be very mindful right now. Very mindful. But anyway, yeah, of the things that we put in our body, it greatly matters. It matters a great deal. How much of our, this is so weird. I can't remember where I heard it, but more genes than humans do. Spot on, Jason Starr said. I'm not sure what comment you're referring to, but I will thank you for that nice comment. No, I'm saying I don't understand the language that you're using, and I don't know if it's a language barrier. But if I don't understand what you're saying already, I'm definitely not going to understand what you're trying to say about Christ. And I might take it the wrong way. That's all I'm saying. Because this is not a user-friendly forum. You can't type out sentences and sentences and explain what you mean. And yes, you have some very insightful comments, but they don't apply to the content of the video. So I have to keep going. Of course, if other people in the comments want to talk to you, that's awesome, right? It does matter what a person says. And Matthew 11 says, what comes out of one's mouth defiles them. Yeah. And that is the thing that I'm working on most. And it probably still doesn't seem like it, but I am working on the words that I use and choose and my tone as well. Back in the day, I would have just blocked you or I'd have popped off on you because I do know Jesus and I take offense when, and again, taking offense, everyone will be offended in the end days. That doesn't mean it's okay to purposely harm somebody. I'm not purposely trying to hurt you. You have really insightful comments. It's just I can't follow along with the content that I promised everybody else if I'm trying to discern what you're saying all the time. It's just a language barrier. And I'm not like that with you for no reason. It's every video. I'm being as patient as I can. They speaking on similar things, bruh, it's obvious what it is. Now suddenly you speak English and English slang. The other day it was you don't speak English, it's not your first language. That's why I don't like that stuff. Okay, so this is a basic abstract. Corn and humans, recombination and language disequilibrium in two genomes of similar size. Two species with genomes of almost identical size, maize and human, that's corn, have different evolutionary histories, and as a result, their genomes differ greatly. However, there are significant similarities. They both have undergone bottlenecks during their recent history and seem to have non-uniform distribution of recombination events. Does that mean mutations? Is that scientific speak for mutations? I'm not the physics girl, I'm not the science girl, so I need all the help I can get in the comments as far as science goes. I'm not nor am I from England. It's so obvious, bruh. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything about you being the color of your skin tone or anything. And I'm like, I'll take offense to that too, because I don't even know my heritage. And my mama was pretty dark. I'm getting real tired of people using skin color and gender as some type of badge. You can't help it. It's how you're born. like it's nothing great I did to be born a woman and Caucasian looking and appearing half of the year. All is assumptions of me. You told me the other day in a previous video that English was not your first language. So I am not confused. And I'm not going to go back and find it for you. It's there. And I'm pretty sure there were other people there too. And I'm pretty sure I probably know who you are. And that's why this is going on like this. So if you could just go, that'd be cool too. So yeah, I guess we have a lot in common. Not a whole, not everything. But we have things in common with corn. And that bothers me, considering all of the genetic tinkering that's been going on through like Monsanto. So I'm going to do one more search on this video. Where did mutations in corn DNA come from? Since a typical corn plant produces about 10 million pollen grains, a single plant in some lines or strains of the vital crop will produce mutations in every gene in its genome in one season. I'm not mad at you. I don't have to forgive you. I don't feel any type of way. It's all good. Just, I'm not, yeah. In other lines, mutations were not detected in either sex. So when did they, in a lot of this, I did a report in college on fracking and groundwater and how groundwater comes to be contaminated. And it's very telling with how we do our farming here in America. For anyone that didn't know, like, let me show you. Pyramid. Another thing pyramids were used for was farming. It wasn't just some spiritual site you went to. It's called step farming, right? And so anything that waters the top trickles down to the thing below it. It's very efficient. It's very efficient as far as land goes. And Egypt probably could have fed a whole lot of people this way. And I'm just saying, we get told all these ridiculous things. See, it's step farming. That's what it's called, guys. People do it all the time. Jason Starr said, I was a vegan for a year in 2019 because I started learning how bad the food really is, but it can't starve, Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Well, for me, I believe it's part like an addiction. My mom allegedly has Italian roots. I would argue that there's a lot of Native American ancestry there too because of her mother. But I don't really know because I never met them. I've only seen pictures of them and I only know like the areas they come from. And that's my educated opinion at this point in time. It's very hard to stop eating animals. And I call them animals instead of meat now because it makes it more real for me, if you can understand that. So it's easier for me to abstain if I understand that those are living, breathing animals. And some of my best friends are animals. So I feel really bad if I'm hanging out with my dog and I'm eating a hamburger. And I feel even worse if I eat the hamburger and then I give him a bite because, number one, I already know it's a carcinogen. Once you know a thing, and this is, again, Mormons are really wise for doing this. Once you know something, you are then responsible for that knowledge, right? Once I know that lying is wrong, then if I do it after that, willingly and knowingly, knowing it's wrong, if it's not covered by love, it is sinful. I am then in debt, so to speak, to the little g God of justice, right? To whoever watches over justice, okay? Yes, God has a hierarchy. God is the great commander. Everyone else under him is in his army. And I don't mean physically to hurt people. But yes, pyramids were used for farming. And it's really efficient in a lot of ways, especially with irrigation water. It's just cleaner. It's healthier. As far as like actually harvesting might be a little trickier, obviously. But I'm sure they could get around that. And the Egyptian pyramids, I mean, they're big enough that if you actually walked up there, I'm sure you could fit in between the rows of plants to harvest. But that's what I see when I look at the pyramids. That's one of the things that I see, one of the possibilities. Because it's just very efficient. And you create energy, right? It's a natural energy shape. I don't know how else to say it. It is sacred geometry in 3D, and it works because God made it, right? And because it comes from the Creator, it works. What are you talking about? I thought I heard you speak of gnosis before. Yes, I am into gnosticism, but not all of it. That Jesus quote was from the Gospel of Thomas. I don't know which Jesus quote you mean. So yeah, I think that that's a really efficient way of farming. But it makes me wonder today, with runoff water and places like Monsanto, is that what's mixing? Can that really affect DNA? Can that cause mutations? And is there a genetic mutation in human beings? And what are they talking about? Bottleneck. Oh, geez. Bottleneck in human evolution. I want to see what they're talking about right there. Results showed that human ancestors went through a severe population bottleneck with about 1,280 breeding individuals. Wow, I can't believe. Okay. What does that mean, breeding individuals? Okay, women. They're talking about women. I have meat about once a week. Most of my animal products are cheese and eggs. Me, yeah. I'm right now in the process of giving up eggs. It's not easy, but I've had my body is my body is making me cooperate with this, and that's the thing. Like, I could say it's because I'm sick and I have something going on with my digestion. Could that be possible for the way I drank for a couple of years there? Absolutely, that's possible. But it's really strange that I got baptized and came back to God knowingly, willingly, consentingly, or whatever, and my body physiologically started rejecting things that I put in it. Step gardening. Yes, it looks beautiful too. You're right, Michelle. It is beautiful. I wish I had I wish I could just farm somebody else's land like that. I'll come farm your land. Like all I need really is a shed, like a corner of a shed for me and Sammy, and maybe a light to read by. But I would love to just be able to be a part of that process of harvesting like that. It is just so natural, it seems to me. And there's something very appealing in what is real to me at this time. I don't want any bells and whistles anymore. I don't, what was I doing? I tried to do something that was semi-worldly. I was going to do something, and I can't even, like, I'm not the same person, right? So it just feels stupid when I try to put makeup on and do things like that anymore. So it's weird. It's just strange how much you can change. So anyways, now when I try to put certain things in my body reacts negatively. And all of these products are animals. All of them. Every single one. So I'm in the process of trying to give up eggs. It's funny though, because of that, I've been on like a candy kick, right? Because there's not much I can eat. I can eat beans, and beans and more beans. I still eat pasta. I eat spaghetti, salad, of course, spinach, leaves, a lot of those like all at once when I can have them because they go bad quick. So I got to eat like a whole bag pretty quick, which I never can do. So yeah, it's expensive to eat real food too. It's not cheap. So I foresee myself losing weight in the coming months. My son is very nice in that way. Um, that is one thing these people will still do for me. They won't spend time with me, but they will feed me. That's how I know there's something going on. And I'm offered coffee all the time to the point where it's pushed on me. And if I don't drink it, people get irritable. And I wanted to know why. That's why I ask these questions, is because I see things happening in the world and I'm having physical, personal experiences with them. And I have to test my own sanity. Am I going crazy? Obviously not, because these things, again, are things that are in the public. We're talking about them. We're seeing them. It's not just me experiencing them. It is literally like the cult of coffee. If you do, and that's the thing. Everybody wants everybody to be the same now. If you don't like coffee, if you don't like plastic surgery, if you don't like the Kardashians, if you don't like, I don't know, booze or whatever, if you don't like swinging, well, you're done. That's too bad. So sad. And it's weird. It's so weird. It's to the point like there's nothing but cults everywhere you look. So it looks like I can't stand this article. This is making me, and this is science.org, and they freaking did it. Dude, it's women. Breeding individuals. That word is women. You could have saved keystrokes and space by just writing women. 1,280 women. You know why there were only 1,280 women? Probably because it was another culling like you're seeing now. Funny how we're seeing all these links too. Remember about the, well, let's just look it up because people don't ever believe me and I always got to look it up. Here's another one. Surrogacy, oh, sorry. Oh, wow, surrogacy mothers wanted. They want you bad. But will you be able to get out of there? Circle surrogacy, that's another word. We've talked about that word being big. I need to do a video on that symbol too. You guys will be, if I do it right, it might be cool. Let's see. Patients with this was from 2020. Precedent autonomy and surrogate decision-making after severe brain injury. Patients with disorders of consciousness after severe brain injury need surrogate decision makers to guide treatment decisions on their behalf. Formal guidelines for surrogate decision making generally instruct decision makers to first appeal to a patient's written advance directive, followed by making a substituted judgment of what that patient would have said, and lastly, to make decisions according to what seems to be in the patient's best medical interest. You gotta be kidding me. Cannot ensure the preservation of patient autonomy. Patients with covert awareness may continue to have values and an authentic sense of self, which may differ from their past values and wishes. Good, that paper is actually arguing for them. August 8th, 2018. Should we use women in comas as surrogate mothers? You know how I feel about that date. I have to have pasta made from other things like garbanzo beans, not wheat. I try to buy grain pasta, whole grain. If not whole grain, then I do eat wheat. But I've seen wheat is bad for you now. Like, really, there's nothing left for us to eat. Like, I don't know, man. Here it is, Cosmopolitan even. Professor sparks backlash after suggesting... Get away from me. After suggesting brain-dead women could have their bodies used to carry babies. I'm going to end it there because that's just, there's nothing left to say after that. Like, this is where we are headed. We went from the Olmecs and coffee drinking and not being allowed to, like, have stimulants to, like, hey, let's kill all these people and use the women. Where are they going to get all these pregnant women in coma or women in comas? Do we really have that high of a percentage of females who are in comas? Like, I'm just curious. Does this even have to be an issue? Where are they going to get all these women in comas? Where's their test group going to be? Who's going to be the control group for this scientific study? This makes me angry, guys. I'm sorry. But something like this makes me very, very angry. I'm going to bounce because I got dogs to tend to here. And I am actually thinking about doing one thing for myself. Something that I always wanted to do and never did. I am actually thinking about, if I can afford it, because I pay everything in payments now. I'm thinking about giving myself some dreadlocks. I asked a girl about it and I messaged her. And she said, oh, it's easy with a friend. But I don't have any human friends anymore. So... we'll see if I can pull it off, but I've always wanted them, and before I get any older, I just like to have them for a little while, see what it's like, But I love you guys. Yeah, if you want to buy me a coffee, my PayPal's in the description. It'd probably be a cold coffee, though, or an orange juice, more likely. I love you guys. Please do pray for me. I got a couple of small videos coming, but I'm going to try and let the channel rest for a couple days, maybe. Let this stuff catch up to itself. And I might do that short because I want to ask that question to an LDS Mormon church member. I want to know why the coming of Christ in the 1800s was not considered the second coming. Because there's even paintings of it, guys. Like, I didn't know that they existed. And it's not AI art. It's actual art of Christ on the shores of America. And I had never seen those, been exposed to these paintings before. I didn't know they existed. And there's even one that says it's Mary Magdalena. So it's very, very curious. And please remember through all this, no fear, because God is the creator of love, light, and truth, all things that are eternal. You and me, we are eternal. Let's act accordingly. We got to be here together forever, I guess. So let's be nice to each other. Let's be good to each other. Let's grow together. And I think that's it. I think. Grow together. We're going to be here together. Oh, yeah, and death is an illusion. Remember that. Don't forget. I love you guys.